All right. Hi, everyone. Welcome. Welcome. Thank you for taking time on a Friday evening, and welcome to this session here today. And I have with me Ankita.
Hi everyone.
Yeah. So we'll just introduce ourselves a little bit, and then we'll get started with what you're here for. I'll go first. So, everyone, I am Anuj. I am currently a senior product manager with X210X. X210X is Benny Bansal's latest startup where we are trying to help startups scale. We work with a lot of startups, and in the past year, I've worked with more than 150 startups to help them with culture, engagement, and scale. And prior to this, I was with Flipkart for 3 years as a product manager, and where I handled the user experience for the desktop website, which is flipkart.com. And also post that I was with the retail team and built the automated buying software. And basically anything that Flipkart buys through their vendors and keeps in the warehouse, all of that is being bought through the software that I had built. And along so that's my story. I graduated from bits before that and come from Madhya Pradesh. And we also have with us Ankita, who's a final year student at IIT Roorkee and has grabbed a APM offer at Ola. So congratulations on that, Ankita. And if you'll just introduce yourself a little, it would be great for all of us.
Sure. So hi everyone. My name is Ankita. As Anuj introduced, I'm a final year student at IIT Roorkee. I originally hail from Dehradun. So I'm really passionate about consumer products in general, and especially cognitive psychology interests me a lot. I have tried my hands at data, quant finance, and some little bit of social entrepreneurship before settling onto product. So yeah, really excited to talking about like all of my Ola experience and how I prepared and everything in today's session.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Ankita, for joining us here. And just to reiterate for everyone, the purpose of this session is if you are a product enthusiast, if you're looking to break into product management, we are here to help you. Ankita will be sharing a lot of her experiences from her interview at Ola. I'll be sharing some of my experiences from the different kinds of interviews that I have given and taken in my career. And we'll try to help you the best we can. And post the session, we'll stay back for any questions you might have, any kind of things that you want to ask both of us. We'll be here. So with that settled, we'll start. So Ankita, I always, think about this, right? So whenever there's a lot of wave around product management and everybody wants to get into product management, right? But you personally, how did you come to know about product management as a function? What made you, aware that there is something called product management and this is what it is? How did you come to know about it?
Okay. So until my second year, I had tried like some things like I had tried some data, I had tried something in quant finance, but I had never really enjoyed anything that much. I was just doing it like I never found like anything interesting, to be really honest. In my third year, first semester, I was doing this internship at a B2B startup. So my work was as a data analyst. So my boss there was a product manager. So I really enjoyed like seeing him work and like his experience, like how he would navigate through his days, and he would talk about like I have to go for these user meetings, make notes, and then discuss it with the team. So that got me really hooked. So I would ask him, like whenever we used to get time, I would ask him to tell me more about his job and how he got into it. And so that was really exciting for me, because earlier I used to think that people like in companies, it will be like your manager tells you to build xxx, so you go ahead and do that. But like seeing that you would actually get in and talk with the users and find out their pain and problems and then discuss it with the teams and then we made features around it. So that was really exciting for me. That was the first time I like heard about product management and wanted to explore it.
Awesome. Yeah, I think that's a lot of relevant interest, to find product management as an interest. So a lot of relevant experience there. But I remember back in 2017 when I had absolutely no clue, and Flipkart was coming with this APM program, and my goal was to get placed in a non-tech job because I was not interested in coding at all, and I'm electronics and communication grad. And I didn't attend classes, and I was like, "Ye nahi ho payega," right? And that's when I started reading about the different kind of opportunities, and I came to know about Flipkart APM and how they were hiring for product management roles, and started reading about product management in general. Spoke to a few people, but back then the overall landscape of product management was very nascent. There were very few people in the country who were knowing about it, right? And thankfully, due to Flipkart, I got to know about it, and then I got into Flipkart, and it has been a wonderful ride since. But yeah, so what about that, right? So let's say you saw your manager working, and but that isn't enough to say that I want to build a career in something
Right.
like product management, right? What
Right.
made you take that final step, or what made you decide that I want to be a PM now, right? What
Yes.
was that thing that tipped you over, or was there one thing or multiple things? How did that happen?
Okay. So I would say that after my internship ended, so I started thinking more about what do I want to do with my life, because of course my fourth year is like just one semester away. So I started searching on the internet what is a product, who is a product manager, what the job entails. Then I went on to LinkedIn and searched with for some seniors and talked to them and like started preparing thoda bahut. And then I got an on-campus internship at JSW Group, which is like the Jindal Group. So luckily the project I was assigned was in product management only. So in this, throughout these 2 months, like I enjoyed the most. Like I had never enjoyed my work that much that I did in those 2 months. So we were working on this app for our B2B cement dealers, and my work was to see how we could better optimize that, or if we could come up with some features that would help our cement dealers. So my work involved talking to the cement dealers on a daily basis, talking to the different stakeholders, talking to development team, design team, and also like data team. So that was like by the end of that internship, I was sure that this is something that I am good at, that I really like, and I'm passionate about. Like I really enjoyed the work. So yeah, that was when I took the plunge that this is what I'm going to do. I'm not going to do tech or anything. Yeah.
Awesome. No, that's very great. I think for me it was just that अच्छा job चाहिए, अच्छा, I wanted a good non-tech job which pays well. The road management fit in there. I'm glad that happened, and I'm glad I took that choice. But you're right. Right now there are so many opportunities, and the space is so hot right now. Everybody wants PM, right? So there is no dearth of opportunities for good talent. So, and when you get such opportunities, you realize that you like doing it so much that you want to do it. So awesome. Okay, so this happened, you figured out this, right? Now you figured that you want to be a PM, right? Now we talk about what everybody is here for, what
Yes.
everybody is interested in, right? You figure out that you want to be a PM, right? What next? What happens once you figure out that you're a PM? How did you go about research, preparation, finding out opportunities, and so on, right? What was your thought process? How did you go about that? Because it can be quite overwhelming with the amount of data that is there outside.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think that I started with talking to people in the product space. So I went ahead on LinkedIn and searched for like product managers in my circle. So I could find some of the seniors, and then started talking to them on how should I prepare and got guidance from there. Then I'm a big time redditor, so I went on to this product management subreddit. There is a subreddit, so there I read a lot of posts on how people started preparing as an APM. There were really good guides on by WhatsApp or Facebook PMs on how did they get the job. But that was not very relevant to the Indian context, of course, because that's like from outside. But I could get a lot of resources from there. So I stumbled across this blog from Manas J. Saloy. So the name of the blog is Project Aristos. So it had like it had a compiled list of the books, the resources, the videos, and the blogs that you should do.
Can you repeat the name again?
Project Aristos,
Yep.
Aristos, right?
All right.
So
So
Project
for
Aristos.
everyone on the call, right? I think you'd like to note a lot of resources that we are spelling out here.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that blog had a lot of resources. Another like really great book is the product management interview, like cracking the PM interview. So that book is like a holy grail. It has everything that you need for cracking the PM, like for getting a role in product management. It also has um, detailed description of what this job actually is going to be like, right? Apart from that, I think for product design, I read 2 books that were like really interesting and helped me a lot to develop that design thinking mindset. So the first one was Design of Everyday Things, and the second book was Don't Make Me Think by Steve Krug. So the second one is like a very small book. You can read it in like, it won't take a lot of time. It would take hardly 2 days to read. It's a really nice book on design thinking. And one more book that I would suggest was that Hooked. I read Hooked, so that really got me hooked. So this book is about building products that are habit forming products. So yeah, these were the books that I read. I can, and also like YouTube channel. So there is this YouTube channel called PM Diego. So he's a PM at LinkedIn. So he shares his experience and how different resources
Again,
he
if you can repeat the name of the channel again.
PM Diego, Diego, like so PM Diego. And there is this another channel called PM Alex, so Growth PM. So yeah, so these were 2 like really good channels that had a lot of resources, and that they're really credible because they both of them are like very senior product folks, so that helped a lot. Yeah, so I think these were the things that I started, that I started with. Like this is how I started researching about the field and learning about it.
Awesome. Got it. That's a very similar kind of a list to mine. I remember preparing back then, and not so many resources, but I think cracking the PM interview, like you said, is a gem, right? And Hooked is another great book if you want to understand how to build products and get that product sense built in. A very important thing which a lot of PMs have asked me, in the past is, what about tech, right? How much tech do you want to know when you're going into interviews, and how should you go about it, right? So my approach there always has been, see, you don't need to learn coding. You don't need to have a knowledge of how to code. I did not know anything about coding at all, right? You just need to have a curiosity and, understand logical components of tech, right? How does tech work, right? There's this book called Swipe to Unlock, which I really love. I read it when I was preparing as well. And it's a wonderful book because it covers the aspects very in a very short manner. How does Google Map work? How does WhatsApp work? How does the web work? What happens when, say, you type www.flipkart.com or any .com and press enter? What's happening piche? So you don't need to know the jargons, but rather the logic of how these systems are communicating, how exactly information flow is happening. And if you are able to figure that out, I think you're sorted and you're golden there, right? So Swipe to Unlock, cracking the PM interview. I think Decode and Conquer is a great book, right? Another book is Design of Everyday Things, is something which I really love because it gave me a good understanding of design thinking and usable design, right? And more things that, I think one suggestion I would have here for everyone is pick a book in a domain, right? You want problem solving, you want to understand design thinking, pick a book, be it Design of Everyday Things or Hooked or any particular thing. Go through that book and understand it deeper and interpret it for your own understanding. And don't go after too many resources, because when you jump too many similar books and similar resources, they're all speaking the same things but in different manners, and it will confuse you, right? And that's something which I've experienced. I've seen a lot of people go through, right? So that's something which I would definitely recommend for you. So yeah, and we'll keep discussing resources as we move forward. I do not want to give everything at one go, but when it's relevant also. So moving forward, Ankita, I would love to hear more about how you found out these resources and you started reading, right? But was just reading enough? The tech book name was Swipe to Unlock, just for everyone. It's Swipe to Unlock. You'll find it on Amazon. There's a Kindle edition. You can easily download it. And now getting back to the discussion. Okay, you found out a lot of books, a lot of resources, right? How do you sort out through this, vast library of resources that is there on the internet? I mean, if you search product management, you'll find like lakhs, crores of thousands of websites available, and with every website will seem like they exactly know what you need to be a PM, right? How did you go about finding this Ola role, or just what to do next? What did you do then?
Yeah. So in terms of resources, as you clearly mentioned, and I also observed it a lot. Like a lot of the times, all of the resources will also have a lot of clash in what they are trying to explain. So there will be a lot of confusion. So for me, what I did was that I like it happened accidentally. I'm going to be honest. I was scrolling LinkedIn and I found this post by NextLeap, which my senior who was working at Flipkart had shared. So I read the description that this is a product management cohort and things like that, and then I called him up and I asked him like, how credible is this, and can I get a job by like doing this program? So he told me that the founder of the program was Arindam, and he had worked with him Arindam had managed him when he was at Flipkart, and also he told me that he was also the person who founded the Flipkart's APM program. So I was sure that this course is credible because the founder has already is a very senior folk in product. So then I started reading about what was the details of the course and what is the course content. I had a basic idea already of things. So my final decision I made was when I saw that this course allowed you to ask you to create a product deck at the end. So I had done a lot of online courses and I knew that they don't help you a lot for very simple reason that you don't apply your learnings anywhere, right? You just learn
Yeah,
everything, mug them up, and then you forget them.
that's
That's not,
actually very relevant. Yeah.
yeah, that's
Very
not that's not how it works, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So with NextLeap, it was like you have to apply all of your learnings in a product deck, and then that deck will be judged, and through that you'll get a job. Like you'll be eligible for a product interview with all of those hiring companies. So that was my final end. Like that was when I decided, okay, I'm going to try it. What's the harm, right? So
Yeah.
so that is how I started, and that is how exactly I grabbed my role at Ola through NextLeap only.
Yeah, got it. Thank you for sharing that, Ankita. You speak about Arindam and the guy. It felt like you were talking about me because Arindam was my first manager as well. He was the person who hired me from Bits and into the Flipkart APM program. And yeah, I can totally understand what you mean, right? He knows he's one of the best leaders I've had in my career. And yeah, I have fond memories about the Flipkart APM program and totally understand what you're talking about, the practical applications and why it is important, right? Because when you read a lot of books, while you get that understanding, you don't know how to speak about it in an interview or in a corporate conversation, right? You
Absolutely.
always need to develop that level of comfort when you're talking to an interviewer. You need to understand how do I say something that the book told me, right? Because sometimes the advice can be quite generic, and until and unless you apply it, you work it out really with somebody, it becomes very difficult for you to go through that process and make the most of it. So yeah, absolutely, brilliant advice for every aspirant out there. uh, ठीक so you figured out that there is NextLeap, join their cohort. Tell us more about your interview process, right? What did you go through? What kind of things that you did? If you have any particular suggestions for people who are, preparing for that particular interview.
Yes, absolutely. So I structure it in the best manner I can. So I started with like making a Excel sheet on things that are asked in the interviews. So like first one is behavioral questions that you need to know, right? The second is RCA cases. The third is product design cases. Then fourth is guesstimates. Then comes pricing strategy cases, right?
I think I am losing. Let's
Okay.
go slowly, one by one
Yeah,
again.
I'll go deep into each of them. So okay, I'll change. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So let's start with the first part.
Very, very important point, I think, which Ankita mentions is to make a list of what all you need to go through and what all you need
Yes.
to do. I think it's very important to be organized when you're
Hmm.
preparing for the interview. I think you will agree, Ankita, right?
Yes, yes,
You don't have
absolutely.
anything documented.
Hmm.
It becomes a lot of mess. You're trying to figure out what do I need to do this.
Hmm.
So really
Right.
breaking it down, I think that problem solving or that breaking down problem into smaller sections is where it starts,
Yes,
right? And you need to apply all of product management into your interview prep as well. So
yes,
you're already
absolutely.
thinking as a product PM when you are doing that. But please continue. Sorry for badgering. Yeah.
No, no. So yeah, let's start with the first part, which is the behavioral questions. So a lot of people take this part lightly, but I would advise that you do not take this part lightly at all. There is a 90% probability that these questions will be asked to you, and like if you are 90% sure this is gonna be asked in your interview, why not prepare for it, right? So for behavioral questions, cracking the PM
Can you
interview.
tell me what kind of behavioral questions are you
Okay,
talking about? Maybe one or two.
so questions like what is your favorite product, right? Or questions like why do you want to become a product manager? Why do you want to join this company, right?
Understood,
So
understood.
right. So for these type of questions, the golden resource is cracking the PM interviews behavioral section. So this will give you a very good understanding on how to prepare for that. Other than that, the YouTube channels I mentioned, like PM Diego, has a absolutely wonderful, I guess, 15-minute video on behavioral questions that are asked in companies for product interviews that you can watch. After you watch the interviews, right, and after you read all of that, now just start, like, you know how to answer these questions. Start by
Yeah,
writing what are the things that you are good at, right? So let's say and start to connect that with your interview, right? So for becoming a product manager, you should be good at managing people, right? You should be really good at communication. So see, if you are actually good at communication, if you actually enjoy that, and if there is something that strikes in between, right, if there is something that is common, try to write that in your answer, right? Because it becomes even more credible. And if you have any personal story attached to it, why not include that, right?
yeah.
I was in my college where I was organizing this fest and I was managing these many people. That's a legit proof that you know how to manage people, right?
And
So
also, I think one very important thing to add here is don't add experiences that you don't have not actually experienced,
yeah,
because it shows, right? I
yes,
have been on the other
absolutely.
end and I have interviewed people and they cook up some stories that I managed this, I built this, I did that. If I ask them one level deeper, I can understand
Hmm.
whether they actually did it or not, right?
Right.
So uh, don't lie or don't create an experience that you don't have is something I will definitely add here.
Yes. And like, it's not necessary to have like a very, like, very advanced experience. It can be a small thing as well.
Definitely, right?
Yeah.
Not always you need to have it. And even in
Hmm.
your studies or in places,
Hmm.
just need to show, what are your qualities or how you have kind of gone through them and
Hmm.
displayed them in a particular manner, right? What if, you did not give up, you got a bad grade and you bounce back from it, shows a
Hmm.
story of resilience that you're not giving up. And a lot of that aspects, right? So that's the behavioral questions aspect, right? So very, very important point again, reiterating for everyone, when you go for behavioral questions, things like favorite product, why do you want to join this company, or product management, always have some answers prepared, right? Always have an idea. Don't keep it too rehearsed so that it does not seem like you're reading out of a book or
Hmm.
reading out like a parrot, right? But keep a good structure in your head, build a storyline in your head, and clearly communicate what you
Hmm.
want to tell, right? So you should have that level of clarity. It shows that this person knows what they are talking about, right? So it's very, very important. So that's the behavioral aspects. What about the other
Okay.
rounds?
So the next part is the RCA case, which is basically root cause analysis. So questions like Instagram's user base has dropped by 10%, or user engagement has dropped by 10%, or Flipkart's conversion rate has dropped by 5%. Cases like this. So the main part in these cases is not to get to the answer, but show how you structure it, how you get to the answer.
Hmm.
So a lot of the times people will start giving random answers. Okay, this might have happened, this might have happened, but that's absolutely not, like, you can give any round of answers, but the interviewer is trying to see how you navigate a problem.
Yeah.
So for this, I would say the best video that I found on the internet was Kanjan Desai's video with Exponent. So she was solving this Flipkart ka case. So that video you can watch. I think it is called Flipkart conversion rate has dropped by Exponent. So that is a really nice video, because in that video she'll explain everything, like how a PM will navigate through that problem. So what I did was, when I was watching those videos, I would start making notes as well, like how PMs navigate through problems. Another really good resource is the explainer series from PM School. So they have like 10-minute videos on RCA cases, product design cases. So you'll get the structure from there. How do you structure? You'll get the structure from there. Once you have gotten the structure, once you know how PMs will usually perform this in a product interview, start with the mock prep with your friends for
Yeah.
these interviews. Right. So
You
this is
talk
the
about
RCA
mock
part.
prep. Why do you mention mock prep? Do you feel that it's important to do mock interviews, and what
Mhm.
did you gain out of them?
Okay, absolutely. Like I think mock prep is the most important part of the interview. Like if you don't do that, you are not going to like perform good in interviews, because you know everything, you have watched the videos, but when you actually go ahead solving, when you have encountered a new problem, you are not going to be able to navigate through that if you haven't practiced. So when I
Yeah.
was preparing for my interviews, I was having, like, when my Ola interview was near, I was having 3 mock cases every day, and before I would generally have 1 mock case every day with my friend. So
Yeah, yeah.
that helped me a lot.
Practice makes perfect, right? Like they say, practice makes perfect. So
Yeah.
definitely go for mock interviews. And reiterating for everyone, we have discussed the behavioral questions. Now we were discussing RCA cases. So you can either have RCAs or you can even have guesstimates, right? A lot of people ask guesstimates.
Mhm.
There can be a range of guesstimates. I remember one of the most difficult questions that I have been asked so far was you need to estimate the total amount of money that Instagram spends on their data storage costs per month, right? And that's a massive guesstimate to even think about it. It's a very, very big guesstimate, right? And like Ankita was saying, right, you just need to deep, and it's not that you need to get that right answer. I might be a far away. Managed to crack that interview, and my final answer was far from the actual projection of revenue and what they actually pay. But my approach was on point, right? I broke down the problem well, and I was able to go through that. So, like she said, very, very important that you focus on the process and not the end, right? The journey matters and not the end in this scenario. But yeah, that's about the problem solving round or the
RCA case.
testing round, right? So, what next? What else? And I know a lot of you have a lot of questions, and I'm reading all of those questions. We will definitely answer them after the call. Um, and after this call gets over, we'll go through those questions and we'll answer all of them. Right? Ankita, please continue. Yeah.
The third part is like the product design cases, right? So questions like design X for Y, design an ATM for blind people, or questions like similar kind of questions like designing something. You might be given a software product to design, you might be given a hardware product to design. So for this, there is a circles framework. I strongly recommend everyone to, after this video, to learn what the circles framework is. So it will help you like structure your interview really well. So read the circles framework for sure for product design cases. One good resource is to check the PM School's video on uh, design cases. So that will give you a better understanding of how the structure is for that. And one really good example of a good case that I can tell is Exponent has this video on design fridge for kids, which PM Diego is going to answer. Like he is the guest on that interview, and Stephen asks him, and that interview video is like really good when you are solving a product design case. So like I remember I started making notes of that video and I watched it 5-6 times to learn like how he's navigating through that.
All right. So, how to design a fridge by Exponent is another video I think everybody should watch. A lot of resources and very, very rich resources being mentioned by Ankita over here. So, I hope you are all taking notes. Um, but yeah, thank you so much, Ankita, for being so insightful and so detailed with us, and actually telling. A lot of people don't want to share what they went through, so it's very refreshing to see people, somebody trying to genuinely help people. And thank you so much for that. So then that's the product design aspect, right? What next? What comes after this?
Okay, so see, I was preparing for the APM round, so system design and tech questions are not are not that much asked for an APM level, but still I started like whatever he mentioned, right? It is in the Swipe to Unlock book. I didn't know about that book, so I googled everything, like how the Google Maps work, how Google search works, how APIs work. So you can, and started reading Medium blogs on that. So that was my resource. Also, I had NextLeap ka material for the tech part of it. You can find that easily on Google. Like, it's not that difficult to find the tech part of it. It's not even that much, to be really honest. Apart from that, there are like pricing strategy cases. For that also, I'll say PM School ka jo explainers wala video hai, that is like really helpful. And for these kind of cases, you can find pmexercises.com. So it has a lot of these kind of cases that were asked in Google, Facebook, WhatsApp interviews with PMs answering them. So you get an idea of how to answer them as well.
Can you repeat the name again, Ankita? PM
Okay. pmexercises.com.
exercises.com. All right, pmexercises.com for everyone. All right. So very well put. I think you covered most of the kind of questions that are being asked, right? Product design or problem solving. Sometimes you have a product sense or product thinking question where you will be asked to, build something, right? For example, building a recommendation system or building the search engine for Flipkart, right? Maybe not at an APM level, but like Ankita said, that tech requirement is not that high. I've seen everybody be so scared of tech, and every time, I try to tell people so many times that you should not be afraid of tech. All you need to have is a logical brain, a smart brain, and just go through, understand, read, swipe to unlock. Try to open the top 5 apps that you use: Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, whatever apps that you use on your day-to-day basis. Open them, try to understand how their systems are working. Just read how does the search or discovery part on Instagram works, right? Or how does the recommendation on Spotify or YouTube works? And you will gain so much out of it, right? You will understand that it is very, very simple. You don't need to know the jargons and just go about that process, right? And my suggestion to everyone out there is, like Ankita has shared, very rich resources. Go through them, go through the videos that she has mentioned. But along with that, also try to look at each product that you use on a day-to-day basis as a PM. Try to understand why did they take a decision in a particular manner, right? If a particular recommendation is coming on your feed, why is it coming only to you? What is a particular product trying to do? Why is Netflix promoting a particular kind of content over here, right? What might be the product decision? Why is the seek or search built in a certain way? So when you start thinking about these questions, right, you develop that aptitude to think about products, think about users. Which user would have wanted this feature if I don't want it? And dissociate yourself, from the process, right? Don't always think of yourself as a user. That personal bias is very, very high in people. So that's definitely something that you should all do as well. So that's about the standard basic interview prep, right? But
Also, one thing I would like to, sorry to interrupt.
Oh, sure, please speak that.
Yeah. So in a lot of interviews, questions are from like very famous companies like Google, WhatsApp, Facebook, Netflix, Airbnb. These are all the companies that questions are asked for. So one thing that I did was I prepared a Notion sheet, and with like Facebook, what is the mission statement? What is the vision statement for Facebook? Who is their demographic? What is their monetization policy? How do they earn basically money? So I did it for these 5-6 companies. So I think it helped me a lot, because when questions like from these companies were asked in my interviews, which was pretty common, so I could have a better understanding. Okay, so question like how do you think WhatsApp should monetize in India? So you should have an understanding on how it is doing already outside, and what is the mission statement, what is the vision statement, what products do they have. So yeah, just for 5-6 companies.
No, that's absolutely right. I think that's also very, very valuable. And just do that research about these companies. You get used to, great products. I think to be a great product manager, you need to understand how great products were built. So that's definitely a very, very valuable advice, Ankita. So, but continuing, right? I think, like you said, a lot of times people learn from experiences. People learn from mock interviews when they are actually when they're given a live example of certain thing, right? So let's help everyone who's on the call today, and let's talk about your personal interview experience at Ola, right?
Sure.
How did you go about it? What were the questions asked, and how what was the process like? So just please enlighten us about that process.
Okay, so I had 3 rounds at Ola. So my first round was taken by the senior VP for products. It was a 15-minute shortlisting round. So this was a very brief round, right? So the questions asked were, the first question was, why do you want to join Ola? The second question was, what excites you about product management? The third question that he asked me was based on my product portfolio that I had prepared for my NextLeap project. So my deck was based on peer-to-peer learning for unacademy students, right? So he asked me what are the pitfalls in my idea and how do I think I will navigate through them. This was his third question. And the final question was an interesting one. So I am a metallurgical engineer. So he asked me that if you as a metallurgical engineer were to build a vehicle, what are the factors you will keep in mind doing that? So I structured this question in the sense like I started asking preliminary questions. What is this vehicle going to be used for, right? Is it a commercial purpose vehicle, a personal vehicle? And then I started building on different use cases as well, right? If it's a commercial vehicle, then of course it would need to have more strength, more durability than compared to a personal vehicle, and things like that. So I mentioned different factors. Yeah, this was my 15-minute shortlisting round, right? After
For
I
the shortlisting round, which is a
hmm,
15-minute round, we're trying to figure out,
hmm,
whether the person is even fit to
yes,
be a Ola or not. And very important point is them asking something related to your experience,
hmm,
trying to see if you can apply it in some manner or the other,
right.
right? So when you write something, mention something on your CV, just have a good enough recollection of what you did there, and don't mention something out of the ordinary. But yeah, so that's one thing. What about the next round, Ankita? What happened in the next round?
So my next round was a tech/design round. So they had mentioned it's going to be a tech round, but it wasn't a tech round, to be really honest. So it was taken by a senior PM. So the kind of questions asked were like, what is your favorite product? So this was his first question, like, what is your favorite product? I had an answer prepared for that. And then he asked me, like, I gave a very structured answer for that. Then he asked me to share my phone screen and like show the apps I have on my phone and like tell me what is my favorite app. So I showed this app called Blinkist. So this app generates summary for books, like audio summary for books, like a 15-minute audio summary. And he asked me like, how do I think this app actually works? Like, what is the backend behind it? How is this app able to generate summary from a 200, 300 page book? So I had an idea on how that works. So I explained him a little on natural language processing and how that works. Not very deep, like very basic. Ki, okay, this is the, I think this is going to be the ML algorithm that works. And that is all he needed from me. He didn't need any tech or anything. Uh, the major part of the interview was spent on a case that he gave me. So the case was that you have to make the process of cooking for bachelors easier. Design any products that can
Interesting
do that.
question. That's a very, very interesting question.
Yes.
Yeah, very
So
interesting.
so he wanted me to build a hardware product, not a software one. So so yeah, that this was like this interview was 35 minutes were spent on this case only. So case ke liye to I moved via the circles framework only. And the most important part or the toughest part in this particular, I think this was my toughest round, was that the interviewer was grilling me like at every point, like whatever I said I was being cross questioned. Okay,
Yeah,
why do you think, why would you say that, and I don't think that this is true. So I think like I kind of in 5 minutes I understood, okay, this is the process, like he's trying to see how patient I am. So yeah, so that was my major thing. So a good thing that helped me was that I write everything down. This is like a habit I have. So whenever he used to ask me something, and I used to like see my notes and then say, okay, this is why I said that. Because in that interview you're so nervous, you'll forget things, like
uh,
you'll forget what you said in an interview.
that's
So
wonderful, right? I mean, exceptional advice. I think writing down things when you are in an interview is something which is heavily underrated, right? When you're writing it down, you have a good recollection of what you're doing. And it's
hmm,
always good to take a minute or two, right? Never be shy to ask for a minute or two and say
hmm,
that, let me figure out my thoughts, jot down what you're going to speak and create a mental
hmm,
map that, these are the things that I'm going to cover. And like you said, it really helps keep you calm, right? Because you are speaking things after jotting them down, so you have that extra confidence. So
hmm,
when the interviewer is And a lot of times I have done that to a few people myself, that, I'll ask them multiple questions. I'll ask them, are you sure? Are you 100% sure that this is the way it's going to be, right? Just to see whether, they have really thought through the process or not, and how much they trust themselves. And when you've written things, and when you have organized it in a nice manner, you've structured it in a nice manner, it's that confidence shows. That person will say that, no, I know what I'm talking about, and this is what I feel is going to happen, right? So very, very valuable advice, definitely. So what next? What happened?
Okay, so this was followed by another interview. Okay, yeah, so this was followed by my final interview, and this was a more relaxed one. Like, I think the previous interview was very tough for me. This was a more relaxed one. So the kind of questions asked were, the first question he asked me was on my portfolio project, right? So he asked me, how did you come up with this idea for developing
For
peer-to-peer?
everyone else, the portfolio project is the presentation deck that Ankita had made as a part of NextLeap's APM fellowship, right? So she was of the part of the fellowship. She prepared a deck, and through that product deck that she had created, she got shortlisted for a interview at Ola. And now the question is being asked about the deck. Why? How did you go about that process? And that's what she's talking about.
Yes. So yeah, so he asked me questions on how did you take user interview for this? How
Yeah.
did you know that these are the problems that the students are facing at an academy? And I had answers for that because I had actually done the process. So I explained him whatever like I had did in that duration.
Great.
Uh, After that, he asked me a question on building a user flow for an unmanned vending machine. So this was my case, and I asked him like, should I like go ahead and completely design it from scratch? So he had refused, and he had said, just build the user flow for it. Like, I don't want anything else, just the user flow.
Yeah.
This was followed up with another question by him, that what will you do if you design the vending machine, everything is fine, but during the peak hours, let's say during the lunchtime, there is a lot of crowd, and how do you manage that? So this was the follow-up question, and I think this was my end of the interview. Like, after I answered it, my interview was over.
Got it. Very, very interesting. Very interesting and different questions, right? You don't really hear about these. But at the heart of it, all of them require that basic first principles thinking, and, good structure, and a calm approach to solving them. Awesome. That's very, very interesting. So what out of all of these questions, which was the one question which you found really, really challenging, the one that really pushed you to the brink? And how did you go about that? If you can just take us through that thought process briefly, it will be very, very helpful.
So I think the unmanned vending machine one was like difficult for me because I had no idea how that works, or how I didn't know this kind of machine. Like, how do I build it, right?
Sure.
So
So the question, if I'm not wrong, is you need to build an unmanned pizza vending machine. Is that right?
yeah, the pizza vending, just a consumable vending machine. It can be
Consumable
anything.
vending machine, right? So, but there is no individual person who's going to operate it.
Yes.
How do you make it and optimize it for faster deliveries
Yes.
or faster? Okay, awesome.
Yes.
How did you go about the question?
Okay, so I started with like how I always start my like cases, by asking clarifying questions. So I took a minute and I started jotting down like what are going to be my clarifying questions. So the first question I asked him was, where is this machine going to be installed, right? So is it for a commercial office space, or is it going to be built for like a housing society? And then the second question I asked him was that what kind of items are inside it? Are these perishable items that are going to get rotten or spoiled very easily? So so I had an idea of like what kind of items are going to be there. And I also asked him like whether I was allowed to build an application interface to get connected to that, like an app on phone, whether that was feasible or not. So he gave me a heads up and he said, yeah, you can do that. So my user flow, I wrote it down like, so you'll have an app on your phone, right? You go to the vending machine, it will have a QR code. Your phone app allows you to scan that QR code. As soon as you scan it, the machine gets connected to your phone. So you can see all of the catalog on your phone screen now. See, key tray A has this, and you can see all of the images and purchase it from there, like a quantity and everything. You can click on that, purchase it. As soon as you purchase it, the vending machine opens up. You can take it out from the tray and then close it after, of course, you have made the payment. So this was the user flow I designed. For the follow-up part of this question, which was that what happens during the peak hours. So here my clarifying question helped me a lot, because in my clarifying question I had asked him that where is this machine going to be installed. So he had said that this is going to be installed in office spaces, in commercial office spaces basically. So so I started by looking at the process. So the main focus was to identify which step is taking the most time, which step will
Right.
take the most time, right?
Yeah.
And just optimize that step. So the step of like imagine like a situation where a lot of people are standing in front of a vending machine waiting to scan their QRs. That is of course going to be a lot of time taking step, because everyone needs to be in front of the vending machine at that point of time. So because I know that this is going to be designed for a commercial space, so if I'm working at an office, of course I'm going to use the same machine every day, right? So what is the need to scan the QR code every time? If I'm a regular customer,
Yeah.
yeah. So you can do all of that process sitting at your office. You can do the payments and everything. And
Yeah.
then when you just reach it, you can scan and take it out. So that was the answer I gave.
No, that's, I think, very insightful, process. So again, reiterating for everyone, always ask the right clarifying question. Clarifying questions are very, very important, and I would suggest try to make them as much yes or no as possible, or one word responses, right? Don't expect them to give you the entire story. कैसे बनानी है पूछ लो, otherwise I'll ask how do you build a vending machine, right? I can ask that question as well. But very insightful, and I know a lot of you have questions and we'll take them. I just want to ask Ankita a few more questions which will be relevant for all of us. So great insight around the difficult question, and it's a very, very different kind of a question that you were asked. So now that we know that you aced it pretty well since you have grabbed an offer from them. So since you have gone through this entire process and you have done mock tests, mock interviews, and you have so many peers being at a college, right, who are preparing for PM processes. If you can just very quickly tell us what are the most common mistakes that people make when they're going about preparing for product management roles, and any tips that you can provide to avoid those mistakes. If quickly you can help us with that.
Okay. So I think the first one is, I had mentioned it previous before, but I want to reiterate that a lot of people will not like practice enough mock interviews and like go like directly into that thinking that okay, I will know how to do it. But I also was doing it, but the more you practice, the better you get at it. This is like a trait that comes with time. So
Yeah.
the more cases you
Practice more.
Hmm.
Go for more mock interviews. What
Yes.
what else?
The second is like the most important thing is like having the right mindset, right? I was going into interviews thinking that I'm going to be grilled, so I was nervous all the time. When I started, like I talked to Arindam and he said that you should go thinking that just yes, I want to go into Ola, but these people are also here to hire me. It's a
Exactly.
two-way conversation, right? So
Yeah.
when I started thinking in that way, I could understand how to behave in the interview properly, right? uh, think of yourself as the interviewer. Why would I want to hire somebody who can't take criticism in a 40-minute interview? If
That's
I
a great point, right? Because I have been on the other side. I have interviewed so many people, and all I'm looking for is a good conversation, like we are having today, right? This is how interviews are. I am not here to reject you, right? I come with a mindset to hire you, right? So all interviews have this in mind that I need to hire people, and all you need to go there is have a good conversation with them and treat it like a two smart people coming here and discussing about problems and products, and treat it like that, and you will not be nervous and it will go very, very well. They're here to help you and not to not the enemies, the interviewers. So definitely. What else? Any other mistake that you see people make a
yeah,
lot?
and I think like if you fuck up in the interview in between and you know that you have said something that shouldn't have been said, admit it and like give an explanation. Like whenever you think you have gone in the right direction, it's better to admit to that mistake. That also shows that you are a person who knows how to admit their mistakes. It's a really good quality to show in an interview. So absolutely that.
Awesome. Thanks so much for that great advice, Ankita. Lastly, one last bit of question that I would want you to finish this at, and then we'll go for the questions. Is any last words of advice you will have for everybody here who's trying to break into product management, right? What are the kind of advices that you have for them?
uh I don't know. I am not like really big on advices, but yeah, just that don't take rejection too hard. Like I was
Yeah.
doing it. So whenever I got rejected, I would be so like I would be demolished for 2 days. So don't do that. It only fucks up your confidence. You are like, this is not like, if you didn't get selected in anywhere, it doesn't mean that you are not good. It's just that you were not fit for the company. You two were not a match, basically.
Or you were
So
not prepared also, right? It's always
yeah,
to take a call around that as well. It's okay you got rejected, right? I think with
yeah.
preparation you can crack it very, very easily.
Yes,
So
absolutely.
golden advice. Don't take rejections too hard on yourself. Always keep looking for that next opportunity, that next interview, and it always comes around. Trust me, it always comes around, right? I've worked with a lot of people who have been looking to break into product management, and things work out if you prepare really hard enough. So yeah, I think great, great chatting with you, Ankita. I think I have enjoyed this conversation a lot, and
Same
I
here.
could I could remember a lot of pieces when you were saying about my interview prep, right? And I really hope all of the people who are attending the session benefit from this and gain something insightful from this. We'll now take up, the questions that had come to us, and we'll go through them one by one, and we'll take up as many questions as there were. So I think one of the first questions that was asked to us was, how much technology do you need to crack PM roles? We covered it quite well. You don't really need to know coding. You don't really need to go about that process. There's another question which was asked around, data analytics skills that you need, right? Excel, PPT, Visual Basics, coding skills, or any of those things, right? Uh, See, it's always good to have a basic understanding of SQL or R, not Python. Python is a little too advanced, but SQL and R always helps. It's always good to have that, first level of basic understanding there. But I would not say it's mandatory to know that. Nobody's asking you those things, right? It helps when you start working in the job to extract data better or faster, but not a definitely not a mandatory requirement. And tech, again, like I said, don't need to know coding, don't need to know the jargons, need to know the logical building blocks of tech. How does a particular product work? How does this go about that process, right? Ankita, anything you would like to add here?
Just the same that you iterated. I'm also not very good at it. I just know the basics. So yeah.
Yeah, awesome, right? So some person had also asked what kind of skills I have as a data analytics. So I just know some R and SQL, and that too over the job I've learned really well. And I would just say, even now, right now, I can't code, but now I understand what my engineers are saying. Right, you just need to know enough to have a good conversation with an engineer, and don't be afraid of it. Trust me, it's the last thing you should be worrying about. You should first worry about your problem solving structure, first principle thinkings, and a lot of those particular pieces, right? We have a lot of questions around, people who were in different uh, kind of careers. Somebody is in bid management from 9 years, somebody is into sales from 8 years, and now these people are looking to transition into product management. And how do you go about it? And I would say one thing is, it's never too late to start. It's wonderful to see people wanting to pursue something that they're passionate about, and there are a lot of opportunities now. You should look at companies which have a similar job description, right? If you are great at sales, go to a B2B SaaS product company and talk to them about it, right? That, I have wonderful sales experience. I know what clients want, how to make the most of those client conversations. And I am a good problem thinker, problem solver, and I really can help you. And it always helps to do some extra research and go that extra way and reach out to companies when you're trying to do that, right? So let's say you want to get into Slack or Salesforce or some B2B SaaS company, or you want to get into Ola for that matter, right? Use their product, understand where they're going wrong, identify a few roles, identify who's hiring for those roles, or just the product heads over there, or the director of products or senior product managers. Reach out to them that I really am passionate about product management, and I really like using your product, and this is something I found missing, and this is my attempt at fixing it. This is how I believe it can be fixed, and that goes a long way in creating that. Or there are a lot of courses. NextLeap, for example, gives you a great chance. I personally have mentored in the APM fellowship, and there have been people with varied experiences who have gotten those chances, right? And there are a lot of other opportunities like that as well. So the space is there for you to make your name. Just get started with that, right? There's another question which is around, I'm a fresher and aspiring to get an APM role, and people ask for experience or not ask for experience. Do I stand a chance? Ankita, you have anything to add to that?
I think nobody even asks for experience. Like in my all of my interviews, I don't think they even saw my resume at all. I explained some things from stories from my experiences, but like I don't think they like really were into that.
Yeah. So I think it's easy if you're a fresher to get APM roles, but if you have done a job for 1 or 2 years in other domains, it becomes a little difficult, because then people are like, you don't have experience in PMing. How do I consider? And like I said, right, I gave a advice earlier: reach out to the relevant folks, identify some companies which fit in your vision, and always do targeted approaches, right? Or sign up for some programs which help you get that opportunity. uh, do targeted approaches, reach out to the right set of folks, build a portfolio, right? Portfolio means build a standard deck. You'll find a lot of them on LinkedIn, right? A lot of people telling how did I improve this product, or how did I improve this process. So build a portfolio around those particular things. Saying that this is how I would improve Google Maps, or this is how I would add this particular feature to Facebook or YouTube, and why I need it. Answer the right sort of questions, build that portfolio, and have it ready. So whenever you're reaching out to somebody, attach that portfolio so they can see your thought process, your design skills, or your user focused or obsession, right? That goes a long way. Right. Hi, Anuj. So this is again, around how proficient I am with Excel or PPT, or Ankita, even you. Not
I'm
very.
good with PPT making, but Excel, I know basics.
I think I am also. I did not know a lot over my job. I've learned a lot. Right. It helps. It's not something you need to break. You need to get into it, right? Even if you're not too great at making PPTs, just keep them clean, basic, simple. Figure out a few templates. Look at some good PPTs and copy those templates and make it into those templates.
So for product decks, there is this website called the Product Folks. So they have product tear downs. So if you visit their website, you'll find them. So they have a lot of good decks. So you can go through them.
Okay. That's actually helpful. All right. Then you have questions around prior PM experience. All right. So again, Vishal had asked us around, uh, how do you justify during interviews when you don't have prior experience? Uh, I think, see, if you don't have prior experience, you can always talk about your journey, right? I think it will be great, Vishal, if you go about that process and tell to them that I've been working since a long time. These are my qualities. I am very detail oriented. I am a great problem solver, and I always obsess over these things, right? And now I feel that the job I am right now is not making me happy. It's not something that I want. And this is how I came to know about product management. I did this particular kind of case, or mock case, or built a particular product deck, or read about this particular product and how it was built, and it fascinated me to no ends. And your eyes should light up, and you need to feel that passion that I need this, right? I want to do this, and I really want to do this, and it really helps a lot when you're going about that particular process, right? And okay, somebody had spoken about the 7 steps of the circles algorithm. uh, So Shubhendu had asked us around, what to refer for guesstimates rather, I think. Any suggestions there, Ankita, around
Uh,
what to
for
go?
guesstimates, I think IIM Lucknow ka consultancy channel है एक, on YouTube. So you can refer to that. It has like basic guesstimate cases.
Can you give the name again?
IIM Lucknow has this case consulting case club का YouTube channel है. You search, you'll find
I am
it.
Lucknow Consulting Case Club.
Yeah.
Got
So,
it.
and apart from that, there is this book Case Interviews Cracked. It was written by two IIT Bombay grads. तो उसमें काफी
Yes,
सारे
is a
cases.
good resource. I think another great resource for guesstimates is Walt's Guide, VAULTS guide. So Walt's Guide has a guesstimate section which is like 9 pages long, but it is incredible. Gives you the exact amount of knowledge you need to crack guesstimates. And like Ankita said, go and refer to some YouTube videos. The I Am Lucknow Case Consulting Club YouTube channel. So read from a book like Walt's Guide or CIC and go to the YouTube channel, go about that process, and that's enough. So another question from Joe S is, do you guys plan to start a startup and how does one do that? Ankita, what about you? Do you have a plan to start up anytime soon?
Not anytime soon, not as of now.
I think I do have a plan to start up, and how does one do that? I personally believe you need to learn first. I joined Extro Tennis because I wanted to understand how startups worked and how did people go about that process. So just get into a particular domain that you're really passionate about, do a lot of research, do a lot of problem solving, product thinking, make the right connections, network effects. I can't stress about how much network helps, right? Every good thing that has happened to me in my life has been because of some or the other person that met me or worked with me. And you will never realize how it's going to come and help you, right? So every person you meet, be nice to them, and always try to be at your best, and it helps a lot. So build great networks, build great connections, and they help. They'll tell you how to go about that process, and maybe we can take it up in a separate time later. What are the hottest growing industry? Joe has another question, which is fintech, e-com, edutech. Ankita, what do you feel is the hottest industry right now? Any thoughts there?
I don't think there is any. I don't think this is like something like you should worry about it. I don't worry about these things. Like I think whatever I'm interested in is the good industry. That's it.
That's a great perspective, right? I mean, don't pick up an industry just because it's growing fast, right? You need to be passionate about it, and every industry has that scope. Every industry gives you enough opportunities, right? We are a growing economy. Fintech, edtech, games, health tech, uh, everything is here to grow, right? Consumer SaaS, consumer products, B2B SaaS, all of these industries have immense potential and scope. You need to have that basic level of interest towards them, the kind of problems that they solve for, the kind of customers that they solve for. And if you have that kind of a passion for that problem solving, rest everything else follows. Right. So I think, yeah, that's all of the questions that have been asked. Uh, but yeah, I think that's it from our end. It has been great catching up with all of you. Great catching up with you, Ankita. I, for
Same here.
myself, felt that a lot of concepts were revised for me, and I definitely know that it was very, very helpful. And many congratulations to you on cracking a great product role, and wish you all the best for going, for everything that you do in your future.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. And this was a great session for me as well.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you everyone for joining us, and yeah, wish you a good evening. Have a great weekend. Bye bye.
Bye bye.